So what if I told you that a song, a really old song, like 500 years old, actually holds the blueprint for fixing our divided world? That's the incredible idea we're going to explore today.
I mean, it's the question that hangs over everything these days, isn't it? You feel it. From our social media feeds to conversations with family, it just feels like the gaps between us are getting wider and wider. But is that just a feeling, or is there something more to it? Well, according to a Cambridge University study, it is very, very real. Just look at this. This chart shows what they call a division index, basically a measure of how far apart we are socially and politically. And it shows a staggering 64% increase in the U.S. just since 1988. That's not just a feeling, it's a massive, measurable shift. So how in the world did we get here? Well, on one hand, research tells us that things like social media echo chambers are an actual design choice. They're built to work that way. But here's the really wild part. Another study found that this polarization can happen all by itself, even without the algorithms. It's like we're already hardwired for this us versus them way of thinking, and our technology just puts the whole thing into overdrive. Okay, so this whole problem feels so modern, right? So digital and 21st century. But what if I told you that 500 years ago, a well-respected Sufi master was wrestling with this exact same fundamental question of division versus unity?
Let's just set the scene for a second. We're going to go back in time. It's the early 16th century. We're in the wilderness near a place called Pattan, right along the river Ravi in what is now Pakistan. And here we find a mystic named Guru Nanak, camped out with his companion, a musician named Bhai Mardana.
And nearby, there's another man, Sheikh Kamal. He's a disciple of a really famous Sufi master, and he's just doing a simple everyday task, gathering firewood for his teacher. And it's right here, in the middle of this totally mundane moment, that everything is about to change.
Suddenly, he hears music, and then he hears these words being sung by Guru Nanak. Think about that for a second. The creator, the tool, and the creation are all the same thing. There's no separation. There's only the one. And the impact is just immediate. He just drops the firewood. Can you imagine hearing something so profound that it literally stops you in your tracks? That your whole world just pauses for a second? That's what happened. So Sheikh Kamal, he memorizes this verse and just sprints back to his master, Sheikh Braham. And when he recites it, his master, a huge spiritual leader himself, is so moved, so blown away, that he immediately says, "Take me to this man. He has truly praised God." Now, when they meet, Sheikh Braham presents this brilliant philosophical challenge. He asks Guru Nanak to sing a ballad about God, but then he lays this perfect trap. He says, wait, a ballad, a war song, needs two sides. It needs an enemy. If you're saying there's only one, who could possibly be the rival to God? It's an incredible question that gets right to the heart of that us versus them logic.
And Guru Nanak's response? Well, it's not what you'd expect. He doesn't launch into a big philosophical debate. He doesn't argue. His response is incredibly simple. He just turns to his friend Bhai Mardana and says, "Play the rabab. Let the music begin."
And then he began to sing. He sang the very composition that would become known as Asa Vaar. The answer to this impossible challenge wasn't going to be an explanation. It was going to be a work of art. Now, to really get how radical this was, you have to understand what a Vaar actually is. It's a type of heroic ballad from the Punjab region. Think of it like an epic poem sung by minstrels to get everyone fired up about the glorious battles of kings and warriors. The entire genre is built on conflict.
And this is the absolute genius of the response. Guru Nanak takes the entire structure of a war ballad and just flips it completely inward. So the conflict is no longer some hero versus a villain, it's the divine versus our own ego. The battlefield isn't out there in the world, it's inside the human mind. And the enemy isn't some other person, it's the self, right here, within.
So you see what he did? He didn't invent some brand new form of poetry. He took the existing structure of division, the war song, and he totally subverted it from the inside out. He used the very language of conflict to sing a song about oneness. So that rival that Sheikh Braham asked about, that enemy, it finally gets a name. And it's not another person or another religion or another tribe. It's called Homai, the ego. It's that internal force, that little voice inside all of us that convinces us we are separate, the voice that creates the us and the them to begin with. And that incredible reframing makes Asa di Vaar so much more than just a beautiful song. It transforms it into a living, breathing counter-architecture, a kind of functional model for how to deal with the very systems that are designed to pull us apart.
And just think about our world today for a second. Our social media algorithms, our political tribalism, the endless identity wars and news cycles, they all run on the exact same engine as a traditional war ballad. They need an enemy. They thrive on conflict. They are all, in a way, modern expressions of how am I.
And all of this leaves us with a really profound, and maybe even a little uncomfortable final thought. This song took a genre about fighting an external enemy and turned it into a ballad about facing an internal one. And it forces us to ask ourselves a pretty tough question. What if all the division we see in the world, the division that's amplified by all our technology, isn't actually out there at all? What if the real war has always been within?